Hi, my name is Randall Robbins. I'm the 1969 Crane High School senior class president, and I'd like to welcome you to this video series. We're going to try to interview all the classmates so that you can see how much we've changed and how smart we've gotten over the years. I graduated in the spring of '69 and went to Texas A&M, then wound up graduating in the ag school at Texas Tech, where I met my wife, Glenna. We have 3 daughters. I taught in the public school system as both an ag teacher and a college English teacher for 31 years. We now Glenna and I are both retired, and Glenna retired as the county treasurer of Lincoln County, New Mexico, and we own a small art gallery in Carrizozo. I'm a full-time painter, and you can see my paintings on Facebook.
I'm Ronnie Cooper. I'm a class of 1969 Crane High School graduate. After I graduated, I went to Sul Ross College at Alpine for 2 years and decided I was smarter than college and quit and went to trying to do other things. I rode bulls and broncs and cowboy, and I always wanted to ranch, and that's what I did. I went into cattle ranching through the years, and I've got a construction business, dirt construction business, and I do some contract pumping of oil wells, and I'm a general manager of irrigation district there in Imperial for farm usage, and I've got 2 children. Wife is Tanita Earp Cooper. She graduated in 1972. And we have 2 children, a son and a daughter, Cody Bob and Angela. And in fact, Angela is here tonight with us, and her husband Mark. And we have 2 grandchildren. One's Dylan, he's 14 now, and Avery, she's 10. And so we stay busy doing that. Like I say, with cattle, we work hard and have a lot of, I guess, activities and responsibilities we have to take care of for those and the horses, but we enjoy it. Tanita and I do. Anyway, we've kind of gotten up in age where we can't do as much now as it seems like what we used to, or don't want to anyway. But we still gather cattle and work them and stay busy doing that. And thank the Lord we get some rain occasionally, and if not, we have to feed cattle and out in the pasture and things like that. Where my ranch is on the Pecos County side, which we live about 2 miles north of Imperial on a little old ranch, and we ranch the Pecos County side, and then on the Crane County side I have a ranch over there that I lease, and I've had that ranch for 27 years, and then the country we have on the Pecos County side, I've had it for off and on, some of it 40 years. But anyway, Tanita and I, we're not getting rich, but we enjoy everything we do, and praise the Lord, our health has been pretty well. We've all got some difficulties at times, but I was able to drive all the way to this reunion and hopefully drive all the way back home Sunday. So anyway, but I've certainly enjoyed seeing all the classmates that showed up, and the ones that didn't, well, we wish you could have showed up and missed seeing you. And the ones that's passed away, we certainly have you in our thoughts. And anyway, look forward to the celebration we're going to have tomorrow night at 6. And just glad to see everyone here. And I have noticed that a lot of them have aged. I'm not sure that I have so much until I put my glasses on, look in the mirror. But anyway, we've all, I think, aged gracefully, and I appreciate everyone's attendance and the friendship and the heartfelt companionship we've all seemed to have at this time. Thank you so much. I don't want her to tell any bad stories, do you?
Well, you know, only if it's a lot of fun. Listen.
No, we don't.
Yeah, they are interesting. I think this one we had at the community center, how many years ago was that? 30? 25, 30, and you did the interviews on the VCR tape and everything.
Yeah.
We need to dig that out. And
I am trying to find it because I had all of the originals, the raw tape. We had, had a film crew come down and record all that stuff. Well, I made the mistake of storing the thing in one of my storage buildings with all the paperwork, and I did not realize I had the tapes. They got ruined.
Oh, okay.
Well, I can't even find my
Well,
final
let me
one.
tell you,
So
if I find it, and
Yeah, we find it, we'll get it.
I've got it stored in some, like, those popcorn cans you buy at Christmas, and
oh
I would
yeah.
put all of our tapes in those and stuff. So I'll go through them if I can find
If
it.
you can find it, yeah. When I was telling, right when we leave here, I'm going back through Crane and do some work there at the museum. So if you find it and don't mind to loan it to the museum there, I'm gonna set it up where they can copy all that stuff and
Okay,
put it online.
sure. I'll get it to Betty Dameron.
Betty down.
Okay.
Oh yeah. That's
All
what I'm
right.
working with her and
Yeah.
Betty don't talk to us,
Townsend.
does she?
she's been known to.
She's a go-getter, let me
She
tell you.
is.
Well, I was looking through some of the old newspapers because they also posted. My mom kept newspapers. I got newspapers back in 1948, 49, way before I was even born, from Crane. And of course, later on, there's some of the Dameron family, Doug Dameron and
Right.
all that crew, and the Earp family.
Yes.
Oh yeah, there's the Blues. Just a whole bunch of and the Hogans.
You
The
know,
Weatherby's,
last
the
year-
Ellisons,
Weatherby's,
and
Betty headed up, Tiny and I helped and some other people, but the 150-year anniversary of the Charles Goodnight Loving.
I saw that. Yeah.
I'm on YouTube.
And
I'm on the horses.
Are you?
Yeah, my daughter and I, we posed as Indians down there at
Oh.
Horsehead Crossing, and those tour buses would drive up there, and we'd come riding out, fast, like, woo, and had our spears and our
Show
tomahawks.
Bobby a picture of yours.
Oh, golly, where's my purse? I'll have to take forever to find it. But anyway, my daughter went to a shop and got black wigs, and they were the braids, like the
You
Indian.
fixed it up all good.
We were very authentic. We had war paint on us and our horses.
And at Salt Crossing, they had the Woodwards, but you may not know them, they're around Gervin area, but they brought chuck wagons and teams and stuff, and they showed them, crossing the Pecos River there at some.
I'm Mary Nell Turnage. My maiden name was Mary Nell Horn, and I'm about to celebrate my 47th anniversary with my husband Mike. We got married on December 29th of 1970. It was between semesters of our sophomore year in college, and that's where we met. I was in college. I went to Ozark Christian College in Joplin, Missouri, and then at the end of our sophomore year, I dropped out. He kept going, and then we moved to Dallas, and it was his senior year. He transferred to Dallas Christian College, and he worked in Houston. He was a youth minister in Houston, and we went back and forth every weekend. We would drive to Houston on Friday afternoon and come back on Monday, and he went to classes Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and back to Houston, and back to Dallas. We did that, I don't know, for 2 or 3 years. And I was pregnant during that time with our first son, and we said I had to stop traveling, had to stop doing that Houston, Dallas, about a month before the baby was due. And so I stopped on that last Monday, and Rob, our oldest, was born on a Thursday. So I didn't realize it was time, and so our first son was born February 8th, 1973. And then we moved from Houston. Well, we moved to Houston after he graduated from college and lived there a few years. Then we moved to Booker, Texas. It's up in the Panhandle and north of Amarillo. It's almost to the Oklahoma border. But Booker, Texas, population 900, and Mike was a pastor there. And our second son was born there. He was actually born in Beaver, Oklahoma, which was 15 miles away. And it's the cow chip throwing capital of the world. And so we kid him now about, that's where he was born. That was in July 17th, 1975 is when our second son was born. And then, let's see, 1974 through 76, I think, Mike decided to get out of the ministry and he became a salesperson. And we moved to Monroe, Louisiana. Lived there for a while, and then he changed jobs and we moved to Dallas in 1978. We've been there ever since. I live in Dallas. I've changed from a small town girl to city girl. And then I didn't work when our kids were little until it was in 1981. And we decided, you know, we just weren't quite making it. We needed a little more financial income, and I didn't know if I could work or not. I didn't have a degree. I didn't have any skills that I knew of. I could type, and so I applied for a job in downtown Dallas as a secretary. And anyway, I did well in that. I kept getting promotions in that job. I was there for 6 years at Arthur Young and Company was the name of it at that time. Now it's Ernst and Young. But I was there for 6 years, and then I changed jobs, and I was an administrative assistant at Dallas Theological Seminary in the business office. And I was there for 13 years. Worked for a great guy, learned a lot. He was retired from IBM. He taught me so much, but he retired in 1998, and the guy that took his place was a lot younger, totally different management style. I never really adjusted real well to that whole change. And a couple of years later, in 2000, I changed jobs and I went to Baptist Foundation of Texas, and their offices were in downtown Dallas on the 17th floor of Thanksgiving Tower. And there I reported to an attorney. There were 5 attorneys on staff, and I was able to go back to college, got my degree, graduated when I was 50 years old, and I got to become a certified paralegal. And I was a paralegal for the rest of the time. I worked there for 17 years, and I just retired in February of this year, 2017. And I love retirement. I was counting the days until I could retire. And we have one granddaughter. She's 7 years old, and she's just the delight of our lives, and I have a lot of fun with her. And that's what I do now. I play with my granddaughter, and I was able to help out with this reunion that we're having because I'm retired and I had a little more time to devote to things like that. And that's
You
it.
still play?
I play the piano for fun, and I don't play for any churches anymore. I did for years, different churches that we attended. I would be their pianist, but I'm not right now. But you know, there was one time when we lived in Monroe, Louisiana, I started pursuing piano studies again, which I had done like my whole life, but I won a contest and I was able to be the guest soloist with the Monroe Symphony, and that was kind of a dream come true kind of thing. I played a concerto with the symphony as their soloist. That was
Pretty
fun.
good.
But
And you got a casita.
yes, when we retired, when my husband and I both retired, we got a little travel trailer. It's called a casita. It's very small, fiberglass travel trailer, and now that's what we do for fun. We go to state parks and trips. We haven't done a long-term trip yet because his mother is still living, and we're, you know, partially responsible for her care, so we can't be gone a long time. We have a dream. We want to go, you know, up to, we want to see South Dakota. We want to go to Mount Rushmore, and then cut over up into Glacier National Park and go over to Washington and Oregon. And that'd be about a 2 or 3 month trip. We want to do that someday. But even for this weekend, we're actually staying in Bonito Hollow RV Park. We just love camping out, nature, pretty stuff.
Okay, that's fine.
It's been a soap opera, but I've been lucky. Let's see, after Crane, went to SMU my freshman year on a fine arts scholarship. I transferred to Texas, and I met an amazing man, Bob Chisholm, and we were married for 31 and a half years. We moved from Austin to Houston, had a wonderful life, have a lovely daughter, Brittany Chisholm, who just turned 30, and she's living La Vida Loca in Chicago. And let's see, so we moved in 1992 to Chicago from Houston, and never really thought I would like it there, but became kind of used to the cold after the first year. Have wonderful, wonderful friends, became very involved in the synagogue and close ties to the Jewish community. 9 years ago, I lost my husband, Bob, very suddenly, and it was pretty devastating, and never really thought that I would find happiness again, and kind of had a brief marriage, and the bad guy led me to the good guy. And about my career, I have been in sales my entire adult life. I sold anything you can think of involving building supplies. I liked appliances, so I in Chicago, I worked for Sears on the contract side. I called on builders. Then I worked for Whirlpool, and I worked there for 8 years. I was a district manager calling on 9 states, and Bob and I had a building company in Chicago, and I resurrected it for a short time after he died. And let's see, I'm getting ahead or behind. So after the devastation of losing him, and marrying the wrong person led me to the right person, and I think that I am the luckiest person on the planet. I met an amazing man, and 3 months ago we got married. We live in Austin, and my whole family, except for my daughter, who we're hoping to get to Austin soon, is in Texas, and it's nice to be back. And we're so excited about this reunion. We put it together pretty suddenly, and we're real pleased with the turnout, and I love everybody and just happy to be here.
Tell us about your mom. Your mom is with you now, and that's
yes.
she
How
left
can I
Crane.
forget? My amazing mother moved from Crane 3 years ago. She and my sister, who's her caregiver, moved from Crane to Austin. And my mother is going to be 98 the end of September. You're all invited to her birthday party. Come on down. She would have been here if she could still travel. She has a few mobility issues, but her mind is wonderful. She never ceases to amaze us. And my husband and she are great friends. He thinks that he calls her the grande dame of our family, which she is. And we're going to get her interviewed. We're hoping to get her an interview on the Fox network in the next few months, because she has had an amazing life.
Yeah, I remember at one of the Crane reunions, one of the all-class reunions, they had told us about her. She had introduced the school song.
That's right.
And when she was like 15 or something,
Yeah.
she was just barely a teenager, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I've seen pictures of her modeling, and her beautiful lady. Even today she is.
Yeah, she really is. I mean,
And your dad.
You would never believe. We lost my father 4 years ago, and it was, growing up in Crane, as Bobby, I'm sure you could attest to, it was like Pleasantville. It was really wonderful.
we were all so close, and we've stayed close all these years, and I just think that's amazing. People in these large cities with these classes that graduate 400 or 500 kids have no idea the closeness. And I've always been proud of my small town roots, and I think it made me who I am today, and it's helped me relate to people.
I think we were really blessed to grow up in Crane.
I do too.
I'm Dorothy Turner McLaughlin. Les McLaughlin and I got married in 1970, August 1st. So we've been married 47 years. We had 2 children, Tim and Mickey. We lost Mickey in 1981 from a car accident. We have lived many different places, but we ended up in Houston for 19 years. And Les is recently retired, and we now live in Christopher, Texas. The main thing I want to say here, we've had a very good life. And I think part of that we attribute to growing up in Crane and the education we got in Crane schools. We both feel like we got better than average education, and we were able to put it to use out in the world. And what the main thing that I like to tell everybody who wants to know what our life was growing up in Crane is we're all so close from Crane because it was a tight community. We had a good school system, and everyone felt compatible with everyone else. There wasn't a big gap in the socioeconomic situation there. All of our parents worked in basically the same profession. We never considered one family better than another. We all just got along. And I really think that that has contributed to our life and to our success in life. And I'm thrilled that I got to go to school in Crane High School. Thank you. I really do feel very strongly about our education there. And mainly because I listen to other people talk about, well, we didn't, I had to take remedial English or something, and, even in college, and I said, well, we had good teachers. They were hard on us. We learned a lot. And I wasn't a straight A student by any means, but my education was thorough.
Yeah.
And I really feel real strong about it. I just feel like that was the best situation at the time. So many people don't talk good about where they grew up or the school they went to. Les and I both feel very strongly that we were very lucky to grow up in Crane.
Yeah, he graduated from Crane, what, in 67?
66.
66?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he went through did he go through all 12 grades there too?
Did he what?
Did he go through the whole 12 grades?
Yes.
I know you did, and we did, just like brothers and sisters almost,
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah, it's an interesting situation, I think, because everybody just knew everybody, and we knew good things and we knew bad things, but we all accepted each other, I think, and I don't know, I just am thrilled that I got to spend that time there.
Hi everybody, I'm Bill Perdue, the adopted member of the class of '69, and I came to Crane in the 4th grade and left at Christmas time of 11th grade, moved to Sweetwater where I finished up high school, and that was a difficult thing for me to do, and that's why that being here today and sort of reigniting and telling stories and reconnecting has been such a wonderful experience, and I'm looking forward to being able to see all the rest of you sometime who are not here. When I think about my life, primarily, I think I'm most happy about the fact that I have kept my faith intact. I guess secondly, I would say that I've kept my calling that I have sensed from God to be a minister, and that kind of defines my life these last 40 or 45 years. But I guess I'm also as equally happy that I have found a wonderful woman named Susan from Coleman, who many of you have met, and we've been married now 45 years, and God has given us 4 wonderful children whose lives are good and happy, and their marriages are good and happy. So I have a lot to be thankful for. I really, really do. When I left Crane in the 11th grade, there was only 18 months before I was going to graduate from high school. So I did the best I could to hang on and to make a few friends. But really, I guess my sights were set on college. So I went to Baylor and finished up 4 years later. I always had a patriotic sense about me. I always wanted to be in the Navy too, because my father, Bill Perdue Sr., who was pastor at First Baptist Church in Crane from 60 to 68, he also had been in the Navy in World War II. So when I graduated from Baylor, I decided to sign up for aviation officer candidate school in the Navy. And so I did that, and eventually I got the chance to be a navigator in the Navy and flying in F-4s on carriers, and did that for 4 years. Then finally I went to seminary at Southwestern Seminary, which took 3 years, and then on to pastoring a church in Uvalde, Baptist Temple Church in Uvalde, from 81 to 85. And you know, it's funny the way life kind of shakes out for each of us. Some things happen, some things don't happen, but in my case, because of my previous experience in the military, in the Navy, out of college, I had a love for the Navy way of life, and a love and concern for Navy families, for Navy people. And so I began to feel sort of an itch or sense of calling to be a chaplain in the Navy. So I signed up for that, and in 1985 became a chaplain. And believe it or not, I just retired in 2008. So only been retired from the Navy 9 years now. It was a wonderful 25 years or so as a chaplain, and then the previous time, so almost 30 years in the Navy. And so that's really formed my experience of life and of vocation and of calling and of service. We lived all over, mainly in California, but we ended up our time in Japan for a few years, and then back in California. I ended up going to Iraq in 2006 and 2007, and that was life-changing, as you might suspect. But eventually retired in 2008 and moved back to the Waco area, where I pastored the church because I had some strange idea that I wanted to finish like I started, pastoring a church. So we were able to do that, and in 2012 I retired, and I said to my wife, you know, you've been following me for 40 years, so I think I'll just follow you for the next 40. So we're working on that right now, which makes me a house husband, I guess you'd say. But I have had the great joy of working some with Truett Seminary, which is a part of Baylor University, being a mentor and a group leader for them, as well as doing some chaplaincy, referral, and mentoring work for our State Baptist Convention, and keeping an eye on the 10 or 12 Navy chaplains that we as Texas Baptists have on active duty. So that's been great fun for me to kind of share some of the things that I've learned with other young men and women who are serving in the Navy. Well, that's pretty much us. We had 4 kids, and they all have wonderful, productive lives. They all have given us children, so 10 children totally, 10 grandchildren. So the Lord has been good, and I hope that's the same for you. And I hope to be able to see all of you before too much longer.
kind of help the chaplains that are in the Navy. Is it what you're saying, that you kind of are mentor and encourager to them?
Yes, our Baptist General Convention of Texas, which is a state organization with about 5,000 churches, it has the approval from the Department of Defense to endorse chaplains, to put their stamp of approval upon this or that person, saying they are a legitimate Texas Baptist person and they represent Texas Baptist people. So the Department of Defense doesn't have any way of knowing or vetting who is applying to be a chaplain, so they rely upon the religious institutions to tell them who's good and who's not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, whether it's Jewish or Muslim or Christian or Baptist or Mormon, whatever, all of those organizations have a belly button whose responsibility it is to endorse. And so I'm a part of that process, one of the associate endorsers.
Okay.
I left Crane and went to Stephenville, Texas, and was fortunate enough to play some golf with some friends and got a golf scholarship to Tarleton State. And of course, as normal, it didn't take me but just about a year and a half, and they gave me my walking papers. And I left there and I went back to Crane and got married. Had 3 kids. I took a superintendent's job at a golf course in San Saba. Come up, stayed there right at a year, and I went to a new development course down on the Red River and stayed there about 2 years. And I think Rita sort of gave me the ultimatum that I didn't need to be in the golf business, that you couldn't make any money. And I went back to Crane and was fortunate enough to get on with Oilwell Division U.S. Steel. Worked for them on and off for about 30 years and ended up retiring from National Oilwell Varco, I guess back in 2006. And one thing led to another, and then as my kids grew up and started having kids themselves, well, I didn't feel too old till I started to look at them kids being raised. And that's when I started taking all the mirrors out of my house, where I didn't have to look into it and realize I was getting older. But coming here and going to the class reunions that we've had now and in the past, it is just, I just love it to go back and visit with those high school friends above me, years above me or below me. But we've had a good time here in Ruidoso. I know that some of you couldn't make it, but you missed a good one. We're all really enjoying it and having fun. I retired again the June, and I've been fishing and playing golf for about 2.5 months and don't plan on stopping for a while. I guess talk a little about my kids. I've got Monica, my oldest, has 3 kiddos. One of them is be a sophomore at Tarleton State next year, and she'll have a senior in high school. Then she adopted a 18-month-old, and I think she's going to be in the 4th grade this year. Then Monty was the middle one, and he didn't get married. He's about 35, but today I'm missing my granddaughter's birthday, and they'll have a big time there. And Megan is in Greeley, Colorado, and is a general practitioner there. And I think, just to say, I think it took her 19 years to get there, but I was so happy when she did graduate and get all that education. She's doing what she loves to do. I've got her oldest son is a sophomore, some college in Nebraska. And my granddaughter will be a junior there in Greeley. And just really love my grandkids, and they all work hard and do good, which I'm proud of that. The ones that know me sort of know what I'm talking about. And other than that, I just like to play golf, visit with some of my friends. We miss the ones that couldn't show up, but they're all of us always got something planned, which is great. But I think they're going to get together and try to have a 50 years somewhere in a neutral zone of the state, and I'm hoping that everybody can make it to that one also. Really don't have much more to say other than I've really enjoyed my time here, playing golf with my old buddies and visiting, and all of them kept me up way too late. But other than that, I'm happy. I just wish there are one or two that should have been here. Now you know who you are. Y'all make the next one. Really don't know what else to say,
That's good. Well,
Bobby, but
that's good. Yeah, you told about your family and
yeah.
career and everything. That's good.
Mhm.
That's good.
But just like to say, I really appreciate what you and Mary and Susan and all y'all did to get this together.
Well, thank you. Well, they did most of it. I'm just kind of here this time, but it is kind of neat to visit with our friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of
It
a
sure
family
is.
reunion.
And some of the people, Randy Robbins, I would have never known Randy for nothing until he started talking.
Yeah,
And I realized that's old Randy.
yeah.
Stan Williamson,
Just talk.
graduated in '69 and then went to Saw Ross, played football out there for 4 years, and then married and went to work on a ranch, on the K-Bar Ranch between Middle and Odessa, and stayed out there about 8 years and decided wasn't going anywhere, and so I moved to Midland and went in business and started out building houses and then went into the disposal well business and went into the dirt and paving business, did a lot of things, and do we cover divorces too?
Whatever you want to talk, whatever you want to talk about, or whatever you don't want to talk about. You know.
Well, went through a divorce and then I remarried, and we married Linda, and we've been married 26 years now, and bought out a company that I'd been affiliated with called Industrial Oils. We're in the fuel and lubricants business. We sell diesel and gasoline to drilling rigs and all of the service companies around the oil patch. And bought a little ranch down in Bandera, and we're building a house down there, and we're back and forth between Bandera and Midland a lot of times, and hadn't decided exactly what we're going to do as far as retirement. Doesn't look like I'm going to retire anytime soon, but we may spend a lot of time down in Bandera, but we'll probably keep our house in Midland. And I've got 4 kids, 3 from my first marriage, and then Linda had a girl, Amy, that now works for us at Industrial Oils. That's pretty much my life as far as what I've done the last 30 years.
Time flies by, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Everything's going good right now for us. I mean, we've been real fortunate.
You live in Bandera? Did you say? Or you?
Live in Midland.
Midland, okay. All right.
And we're building a house in Bandera on our ranch there. And it's on the Medina River, and it's a real nice place.
You gonna move there when it's finished, you think, or
Uh,
have a back and forth? Or?
we'll probably be back and forth. Unless I sell the company. Right now, we're not planning on selling it, but we've been approached by several people.
How is the oil business right now doing out there? It seems like it's kind of picking up from what we hear in the news. I don't know.
We're having a great year. In fact, we've grown the company. I've been affiliated with the company for 29 years, and I ended up buying it from the original owner. He got real old and wanted to sell it out, so my son and I bought it, and it's been real good for us. It's a good company. It's been in business for 52 years in Midland.
Maybe will your son kind of take over then, you think?
Yeah,
Keep it going.
he's pretty much taken over all the accounting, and I just take care of problems, collection problems usually. With a business like that, you always have somebody that not paying you, so you have to go out and do a little collecting.
Work on that, yeah.
And I have a real good relationship with my wife now, and we have a lot of fun. We go travel a little bit and just have a good time.
Y'all still, is your folks still living, your mom now?
My dad's still living. My mom died about 4 years ago. She was 91 when she died. My dad's 95, and he still lives by himself. We have a girl that comes in and kind of cleans his house and takes care of a little bit of cooking, but for the most part, he's doing real good.
Does he live in Crane still, or has he moved off? Or
No, he lives in Midland
Hello.
with us. Not with us, but
close?
yeah, pretty close by. And he's gone through, about 4 years ago, he went through chemo and radiation for cancer in his lymph glands. And then last year, they found it on the other side, and he went through radiation. But he's come through, and now he's beat that again, and so he's a
Trooper.
yeah, he's a fighter.
You didn't start there, did you?
I started school in Crane, and then when I was in the 3rd grade, my dad was transferred to Midland, and then I went from the 3rd grade through
So you started 1st grade in Crane? Who was your teacher?
Mrs. Crane.
Miss Crane? Oh yeah, yeah. Wow. I didn't remember that. I knew you were there later in the years. I was in a different class. That's probably why I didn't remember in 1st grade. But so you went 1st, 2nd, and part of 3rd in Crane.
Yeah,
and
then
moved to Midland.
Midland.
And then you came back.
Then we came back.
Middle school or something.
As I came back as a junior in high school.
Was it that late? Okay,
Yeah.
I remember you being there in high school. I thought it was before that.
No, I was junior in high school, and then went my junior and senior year there, and then went to Solar Ross and got my degree in range animal science. And that's when I went to work on that ranch.
That's good. We spent a lot of time there because in the summers we'd go there. My mom and dad finished their degrees there, and I loved it. Beautiful, you know, it's kind of up in the mountains,
Yes,
cooler, and it rained.
It is. I enjoyed going to school there. I wanted to play football. I got a full scholarship. That kept me occupied, and because I'm not sure if I'd gone to college or not if I hadn't played football. Football kept me in college, kept me
good.
having to pass all my
Keep grades up.
keep my grades up and pass all my subjects.
Coconut Field, isn't that what it's called there?
Coconut Field.
Yeah. That, I guess it was a family. I never met any of the folks, I don't think, but.
Yeah, I rented a little house from them after I got married. I got married my junior year. And,
Go ahead and keep talking. I'm on.
and then I finished out my,
You next.
Yeah.
We're just finish it. Yeah,
Oh.
That's all, we're talking stuff.
Oh, okay. I thought that housekeeper lady might be in here.
yeah, I guess, what were we saying?
You got married in your junior
Oh,
year in
yeah,
college.
yeah, and then
That's right.
I got married and we lived in one of Mr. Cokernot's rent houses.
Really?
And he's a real nice guy.
So that would have been in the 70s when it, see, my mom and her mom stayed with my folks one summer or two, and then how many years did we spend in Sullah Rossi? I mean,
Three, I think.
I can remember, all I can remember is summers in Alpine was that, and I loved every minute of it. But it was,
Yeah, I graduated in 73. 69 to 73,
yeah,
4 years ago.
it was a good school. We went go back there about 3 years ago. We took a little tour down through there. And I still remember the buildings. All the little brick cottages that they had up there were gone, and they put a dorm, up in there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the little brick cottages,
Oh,
the rock
yeah,
cottages, and all that? That's where
Uh-huh.
we stayed, and then they had tore them down. And what they told us is there's two of them sitting there in a little different place, and they look similar, but they look different too. And I asked, I said, what? So well, the people got so upset about them tearing those little brick cottages down that they built two more to kind of they're not occupied, I don't think. They're a little bit smaller, and they were small to begin with, but just so people could see them. But they got two little red brick cottages up there.
Yeah, there were a number of those little cottages up there.
I bet there's 50, or maybe more than that, because there's rows around them,
Uh-huh.
and right off the mountain. Because I used to climb that mountain, and y'all stayed in the dorm, I think, didn't you?
I never did. I stayed in one of those cottages
Did you?
every time.
Okay.
But now I think maybe Mother and Helen stayed in the dorm one time.
I remember your mom stayed in the dorm once at least. Yeah, I can remember. Huh.
We, as football players, we all lived together in what was called Fletcher Hall, but we called it Animal Dorm. That all the animals lived in. And it was off campus,
Oh, really?
yes. And it was a 2-story and lots of rooms. It's kind of built in a U shape, and all the rooms, and it was 3 stories. And
Seemed like I remember the name. Where was it? It wasn't very far from the campus, was it?
oh, it was just on the west side of the campus, about a block off the street there that ran along the west side of campus. Yeah, it's been torn down since
Yeah.
we left.
You know, I was surprised that the main buildings are still there, and they've kept them up really nice. I mean, the place was immaculate. They've added a few buildings, they've added several buildings actually. The dorms and this and that, but the campus was just,
Oh, it's a beautiful campus.
yeah, it's a beautiful
It
place.
is.
For Oklahoma still. He's been out there 30-something years.
And he's a pharmacist, isn't he?
Got his own store.
Yeah. I should befriend him on Facebook.
He
see
just
what
got
he's doing.
on it in the last 6 months.
Is Gurley here? Isn't he?
Right, I hadn't seen him today, but he was
Because
here
he's a-
He and
yesterday.
Took are probably on a ride somewhere.
I saw Dexter
Oh, did you?
last night,
Yeah.
not this morning.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I haven't seen Dex or Gurley this morning, so
So I did see a
Oh, you
picture
think
of
they're probably
Gurley.
riding their
they're
bikes?
probably out on
somewhere?
their bikes, yeah.
Isn't that wonderful that they're just so healthy? I admire both of them. Oh my word, I do.
It's embarrassing.
well, okay, if you want to put it that way, yes.
Well, that's something.
Oh, out of the scene here.
No, you're all right.
No,
You're,
you're
all
all
right.
right.
You're
We
fine.
can-
I'll zoom in on Miss Paula over here, and then
Don't
what-
zoom too close.
what we're trying to
Yeah.
do.
I'm not ready for my clothes up.
Me either. That's why a while ago Dorothy said, she got this close to me with her camera, and she said, "Close up, Paula," and I said, "No."
I did not, it's funny, because I recognized Les, but I didn't put Dorothy with him, and I'm looking at her and she goes, "I'm Dorothy." I go, "Oh, God."
You know, I did not reckon, she was standing out front when we came last night. Oh, but once I knew who it was, it's perfectly
Didn't you?
clear.
She looks so
Perfectly
much like
clear.
her mother to me, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
But then the girls that I'm rooming with said, or ladies, women, whatever, the girls, they were like, "Well, I don't really remember what Miss Turner looked like." And I said, "Well, I have an advantage since I lived in Crane a long time. I left and then I came back. So, you know, I've kind of been connected. My parents have always been there, and
Yeah.
I've been connected all these 50 years back to Crane.
Yeah.
So I would see some of these people.
Yeah.
Of course, she's passed on now, but Dorothy to me looks a lot like her mom did.
I knew her mom, but not well. But I mean, honestly, it didn't. Betty asked who it was. I said, "Man, I do not remember who that was," because she, like I said, she met us. So we was pulling up, and
Yeah.
there was a bunch of folks was going off to get something to eat. And, she looks familiar. It's embarrassing. And then, well, I guess last time we came here and do the interview thing, it dawned on me who she
See-
was. And from that point, I mean, it's just so obvious, you know, because she's still, her face looked
Yeah.
exactly. I mean,
Leslie Mansell was that way for me yesterday.
Oh,
She was
I-
sitting there in profile, okay? And I kept looking at her thinking, well, whose wife is this?
When she-
But when she turned and looked at me face on, it was like, Leslie.
yeah, I
But-
saw her when I came in, and so I recognized her right off. But
Well,
Yeah.
that's good, because I didn't right
Well,
at first.
we were all sitting back at that same table we were all sitting down, and she walked in, and I looked up and I go, "Leslie."
You're so good, Ron.
But
You're good.
that's, yeah, it was, I'm like you though, but it was here, not the hair, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the white hair completely
Yeah,
threw me off,
yeah.
you know, but a lot of us have more white than we used to.
Hey,
I have
hey.
a lot of blonde.
Yeah, Bill used to say that. I said, "Honey, you're getting gray right here." And he said, "That is not gray, that's platinum."
Yeah, yeah.
That's just platinum, you just can't see it right.
Well, it's just neat to see everybody, you know.
I know.
It's just a blessing.
I tell you, those 4 girls I'm with, Mary Nell and Rexanne and Diana, and we had talked till, I don't know what time it was when we left the hospitality. You can tell my voice is all
Yeah.
crudted up, and I cannot give, I don't think I'm allergic to anything here. I think we just talked about it so
Yeah.
much that I just lost
Hoarse.
my voice. Yeah, I'm just hoarse.
Yeah.
But I mean, just catching up with their families and,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, it's like
'cause-
Diane. I haven't had a chance to really sit down and talk to her.
well, take that chance.
Yeah, I will. I will.
'Cause she is just, I don't know. And she's been in St. Angelo all this time teaching piano.
Wow.
She's a piano teacher.
Married?
Yeah, she's got 2 girls.
Okay.
But
I mean, I recognized her. Again, it was from her face.
she, that smile and
Yeah.
that face looks the same as it does. Mary Nell has a picture of a birthday party when Mary Nell was like 5 or 4 or something. She still looks like that. And it's like, honey, you haven't changed at all, you know?
Yeah.
So,
You
yeah,
know,
she's,
one of the funniest things my mom, blessed her heart, I was talking to her one day, and she was still living in Crane. She was a county clerk at that time, and we were talking. She said, "Well, she told me something happened with so and so." I was like, "Doesn't ring a bell, Mom." I said, "Well, yeah, gave me their parents' names. They've been here like 20 years." And I was like, "Yeah, Mom, but I've been gone 22."
yeah, these years go by fast.
Yeah. And she's like, "You sure?" "Yeah, I'm pretty sure,
I'm pretty
Mom."
sure about that.
Yeah, I see stuff from Crane, and we've been. I left when I graduated from high school that summer. Went off to school, and Mom and Dad lived there for a good while after
Yeah.
that. So I, be backing off on. But there's, the last 20 years, 30 years, there's people there that
Yeah.
have zero knowledge of,
Yeah.
know.
Oh, yeah.
But then there's some that's still around, the
Yeah.
families and all
Well,
that.
like Dennis, Steve Pettit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
Well, and Cooper, although he lives out toward Imperial,
Yeah.
but he's still in the
Yeah.
area,
Yeah.
Yeah. I recognized him right off last
But
night.
somebody said, "Don't you think he looks like George Strait?" And I said, "I don't know, let me look again." And I said,
You know, I think he does. With that hat on, I thought,
Yeah.
George is my hero.
Oh,
I love
yeah.
George Strait.
Oh,
And,
So you going to Vegas to see him?
no,
Mm.
I mean, I don't have any plans to right off the bat. I didn't realize he was in Vegas until about a month ago.
oh, does he have a show there or something?
Yeah, he quit touring, and he set up this show, and it's
Have you been?
no.
Oh, no.
On
I'm not a
his,
Vegas fan,
his
so-
last,
See, I was in the airport just last week, and it was so crowded in the southwest part of the airport. I didn't go anywhere else because I had to catch
Yeah.
another flight. But I ended up sitting on the floor for a while because there were no seats. It was that crowded,
Yeah.
and of course those slot machines and stuff everywhere.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm like, I'm just not too keen on this. I mean, I think I'd rather fly into Phoenix, but you don't always get a choice. You have to go
where
where
were
they.
you?
I'd driven the grandkids back to Idaho, and I was flying back home, and it went from Boise to Las Vegas, Nevada, and then from there to Midland.
Oh, wow.
So, and I had a layover there, and I wasn't really enthralled,
Yeah.
and I've never been to Vegas other than driving through to see the Hoover Dam, and like when we were on a vacation one time, but we didn't stay there. We just got gas and kept going, and so Gigi said. She didn't even want to stop for gas. She said, Daddy, what if Jesus comes back and finds us here? She said, I do not want to be Jesus to come back and find us in Las Vegas. And I said, well,
One of
we
our,
need gas.
when we were seniors, James Borsfield and I got a trip to Las Vegas, and we went to the American Industrial Arts Association thing.
I remember that.
I remember
I got to
that.
speak in Caesar's Palace, but the most amazing thing about that was that our sponsor was Mr. Eggleston, Rip Eggleston.
Yeah.
You remember Mr.
Yeah.
Eggleston?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Eggleston and Borsfield and me went to Vegas. Well, I had just turned 18, in April, and we was there in May, so we was going to rent a car and drive around. So James and I went out to the airport to the rental place there, and you can't rent because you got to be 25. I was all upset. So we went back and told Mr. Eggleston. He went back out there with us and rented us a car.
Uh-huh.
And the funny thing about it is James and I did not see him for a whole day. We have no idea where he went.
You do, but you don't.
Well, that's kind of what stays in Vegas.
Yeah.
We had no idea where he was. He didn't ask where we went. But for a whole, and we drove that car all over the place. We was going to Hoover Dam. We thought, that's a little bit too far, because we had meetings the next morning.
Yeah.
So we stayed up all night just going around different places and seeing stuff. It was wild. I mean, I'd never.
And it probably wasn't near as wild
Oh
as
no,
maybe it
this
is
was
now.
in 1968, and it was
Yeah.
about 80,000 was the population.
Yeah.
No.
The
I think
strip.
there were 80,000 in the southwest area.
Oh, there's 80,000 on the street down there.
Yeah.
I've been there several times since then for trade shows, but I mean, it's what, 3 million or something. It's a big,
Yeah.
Oh, I
it's a
don't know.
big
I
place.
don't know.
But it was hilarious.
Mom and Dad used to go out there. It started with El Paso. Natural Gas had one of their company things out there, and Dad got a recognition award or something.
Yeah.
And then they started going back.
We've just taken over your
Well,
place.
it was funny because Mom loved to play bingo in the slots.
Do you
well,
need it here? We can
Dad liked to play
or
golf
something.
and then the cards.
This
So
stuff
Mom would play bingo.
He's not filming right now, are you? Or are you?
Yeah, it's running.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We played bingo in the slots at night, and then have breakfast and go to bed. And Dad would get up and have breakfast, go play the cards, and then go play golf, and then the cards. So they didn't see each other for like 4 days the whole time they were in Vegas.
Well, first time we went there, I was walking around, I saw the bingo stuff. There's people, of course, most of the people in Vegas were dressed fairly well and doing all that, but I've been at this place that's filled with smoke, and there was people in there that looked like they didn't have a penny to their name. They had all these cards here, they had rows of them, they had their little dauber thing. They were just absolutely going to town. It was like a frenzy. I'd never seen anything like that.
Bingo, yeah. Mom played bingo too. She'd play all night.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, another time we was at one of the trade shows out there at Aladdin. We stayed in the Aladdin Hotel, and there was they had cars like a Lincoln, real nice cars, and you could put money in this slot machine. And went to bed one night, and there's some people putting money in this slot machine. Came up the next morning. I don't know if they was there all night, but they still put money in it. But you figure it's probably a $50,000 car.
Yeah.
You put $10,000 and you may come out with it. You may not either,
Yeah.
you know, but.
Yeah.
You can stay right where you are. I've asked people to do is just say something about your life after graduation, because we all know, it's like Billy Perdue, he told a little bit about his last year and a half because he left, you know, in his junior
Oh,
year.
right,
But,
yeah.
but those of us that were there for the 12 years, or that graduated, just kind of give us a history of your life after that, your family, your friends.
Well, hello, I'm Paula Cass, Paula Davidson Cass, and after high school I went to OC for a year and a half and then transferred to Texas Women's University in Denton, and that's where I got my Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education. I married Bill Cass in 1972, and we left the country. No, we really went to Florida and went to Savannah, Georgia, and taught in a Christian school the first year. We taught in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, our second year, and then by then we were missing West Texas, so we moved back and we taught in McCamey for 4 years. I taught third grade there, and one of the hardest things in McCamey for me to do was to yell "Beat Crane" at the pep rallies. That was a really hard thing after I'd lived in Crane for 12 years, and we had a good time teaching in McCamey. And then Murray Ford was the superintendent, and he hired both of us in Crane, and we taught there for 18 years. I taught third grade and second grade in Crane, and then we moved to Hamlin, Texas. Bill had gotten his master's in counseling, and there wasn't an opening in Crane, so he became the counselor at Hamlin High School, and I taught third grade there. We left our oldest daughter, we have 2 daughters, and we left Gigi in Crane with her grandparents. She was a senior, and she was into the choral program, and Hamlin didn't have choir, so we left her there, and she finished in Crane, and we made several wild hairy trips from Hamlin to Crane, about a three-hour drive to see choir programs. I don't think we missed any of them that senior year. And my younger daughter Nancy was in 7th grade when we moved, and so she did the rest of her junior high and all of her high school in Hamlin, and she graduated there. And from Hamlin we moved to China Spring, Texas, and I taught math in La Vega, at La Vega Junior High for 5 years, and that was an experience in itself because that is kind of it was a bigger school and kind of inner city type, and I'd never been exposed to those kind of kids. I mean, they're sweet kids, but I mean really a different lifestyle that they'd lived than the ones I taught in Crane and Hamlin. After 5 years there, we moved back to Crane to help take care of our elderly parents, and I've been back in Crane ever since, and I've been teaching 7th grade math at Crane Junior High in our old social studies room. So if you came, you could find that room if you remembered where it was. And before, well, I'm backtracking now, but Bill and I both got our masters in Sul Ross when Gigi was small. So in the early 80s, we did a master's degree at Sul Ross. So I've been teaching for our 48 years, and I still plan to teach this coming year. I feel like I still like it, and I think that's what God called me to do with my life. I have 3 grandchildren, a 16-year-old granddaughter, well, she'll be 16, and be a sophomore in high school, and then I have a grandson who is 6, so he'll start 1st grade this year, and a grandson that's 2, and so my grandchildren are all spread out. My dad is gone. We lost Bill last year, and my mom is still living, and she'll be 88 this year on her birthday, so we still have that tie to her, and I'm thankful for that. And anything else you want to know, Bobby?
No, just pretty much that's it. You know, anything.
Okay, well, and this reunion has been so fun, and I'm sorry for you that couldn't come, and maybe in a couple of years y'all can be with all of us. I hope we can all be together again sometime. It's been real great fun.
It's like a family reunion.
It is, absolutely.
All right, cool. Next.
Hi, I'm Ron Willis. After graduation, I went to the United States Military Academy for a couple of years and ended up leaving to take care of some family obligations I had. And came back to Texas and went to school, enrolled at Texas Tech. Was there for about a year and a half and just was trying to work and go to school and needed a break. So we loaded up, we moved to New Mexico, worked on a ranch over there for about 6 months. And then got an offer to come back to school, got a partial scholarship, and came back and finished up in 1974, December, and went right in January of 75 into my master's program in agricultural economics, and completed that in December of 76. Did a research project there at school, and applied for Texas Tech Law School and got accepted, and had started school, and my ex and I separated and started out the divorce proceedings. I was trying to work, trying to go to school, and just wasn't having much success with either one. So I got a job offer, applied and got a job offer from the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Houston. Went down, went to work on a project there at the Johnson Space Center, looking at Landsat imagery, trying to analyze crop conditions around the world. First met my current wife, Jill, in August of that year at a company picnic. We didn't think very highly of each other at that point. And so it was about a year and a half later before I asked her out again, and or asked her out for the first time actually. And it was like we had known each other for years. A year later we got married. Little side note to that is I was rodeoing at that time, and our first date was on Friday, July the 18th. I was in a rodeo in Austin on the 19th and come off a bareback horse kind of crazy and ended up tearing or partially tearing a ligament in my right knee, ended my rodeoing days. And it was a year later then, July the 18th, that we got married, and we just recently celebrated our 36th anniversary. I've drugged her all over the country. We lived in Houston when we first got married, transferred to DC with the U.S. Department of Agriculture. We were there for 6.5 years, and then we moved to Mandeville, Louisiana, working for a group called the Southern Forest Product Association, a nonprofit trade association representing the southern pine lumber producers in the southeast. We did that for 5 years. I got a job offer to go to work for a much larger group called the U.S. Meat Export Federation in Denver. They represent U.S. exporters of beef, pork, lamb, and veal, as well as producers. Was running about a $21 million program there. Did that for about 4 years, got laid off. I got a job with the Illinois Farm Bureau and was in Illinois. Jill stayed at the house with her job, and we were getting ready to move her when she got a job offer from Dell in Austin. Talked about it. 2 weeks later, they're loading her up, moving her. And so I stayed in Illinois until June and moved down. And we've been in Austin ever since. Been there almost 19 years now. We don't have any kids, unfortunately. But it's been a wild ride nonetheless, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I'm Ron Gurley. After high school, I attended 1 year of Odessa Junior College thinking I wanted to be a computer programmer, and I learned real fast that I didn't really like that. So, and I tried to play baseball there, and then played a little bit, made the team, but then decided I didn't want to play, and they dropped baseball the next year. So I said, okay, you know, I need to go ahead and do what I was thinking about doing all through high school, and that's go to pharmacy school. So I applied at Texas and got in 1970 I went to Austin, started UT, and it was a whole new world, you know, but it was fun, it was great. And spent 4 years there, and went to summer school. Some of the summers I'd come back and work out at Arco, out in the oil field, make a little money. And but finished up my pharmacy degree in 1974, and immediately, well, in 1973 is when I got married. met my wife in high school, in pharmacy school. She was going to pharmacy school too. And so we got married, and she graduated in '73, so we got married, and we was married for a year while I went to school. And then we moved to Fort Worth, and we both went to work for a chain called Eckerd's at that time, which is CVS now. And I worked for them for 15 years, and she worked for them for a lot longer than that. And after 15 years, I had about enough of retail and dealing with people. I mean, I enjoyed talking to the people, but it only takes one bad one each day to ruin your whole day. And so I had an offer from mail order pharmacy called Medco. It was National RX back then. So I was kind of hesitant, but they made such a good offer, and it was all weekends off, holidays off, you know, better pay. I said, how can I pass this? So I went to work and for them, and it was great for the first 2 weeks. And I'd go home just feeling guilty because you never get caught up. You know, there's always work. And in retail pharmacy, we were always totally caught up every night, or you didn't go home. So I'd go home feeling guilty that I hadn't done enough. You know, the work wasn't done. But I got over that. After about a month, you know, I started saying, okay, this is the way it's supposed to be, you know, and we just have to deal with it. And so it was great. I mean, for 23 years, I love my job. I mean, I can count the number of days on one hand, the days that I didn't want to go to work, and I can count the number on my hand in one hand the number of days that I did want to go to work with Eckerd's. So that's how much better it was. And then about 2012, I guess, a company called Express Scripts. They bought us out, just unknowingly. All of a sudden one day they said, well, now Express Scripts own you. Well, they're a terrible company to work for. They didn't care nothing about their employees. All they wanted was our technology and our business. And so they kept us open about 2 years, and then one day they came in and said, we're closing this place in 2 months. They gave us real good severance pays, but we kind of figured that was going to happen. And so here I was 62, I guess, 63, and there was 200 pharmacists up there, and most of them were young with kids. And I said, there wasn't that many jobs available. I mean, it's hard to fill 200 spots, overnight. So I need these younger people need the jobs. I'm just going to look to see if I can maybe just retire. And so I kind of looked at it, figured it out, and I think, well, if I just kind of lower my standard of living a little bit and move to a little smaller house and just take it easy, I can retire. And so that's what I did. And we moved to Granbury from Keller, and about 2.5 years ago, and I love Granbury. It's a great place, and I love not having to get up in the morning and go to work. And so now what I usually do, my days consist of getting up, going to the backyard, looking at the birds, feeding the birds, and letting my cat out in his little screened-in room and sitting there and eating my breakfast, and then decide if I'm going to go to the YMCA to swim, or if I'm going to go ride my bike, or if I'm going to go try to run a little bit. And the highlight of my day might be going to HEB. That's the social gathering. There, the YMCA. That's where you see everybody in Granbury. But it's a great place to retire, and I'd recommend it for anybody. And I'm enjoying the heck out of it. But this little reunion here has been great. I mean, I've seen people I hadn't seen in 40 years. Some of them maybe longer than that. And after you talk to them for about 5 minutes, it's just like you were back in high school. And I keep telling my wife has never been to a single reunion. I said, Debbie, you gotta go. I said, she says, well, I don't even recognize. I said, well, you will. I said, as soon as you talk to these people, I said, it'll all come back, and it'll be just like high school. So I'm gonna make her go to her 50th, which is next year. And if I have to drag her, she's going to her 50th reunion, because it's a blast. It's really a blast. I mean, seeing all these people, it's been super.
Where did your wife go to school?
She went to high school in Fort Worth, but she went to UT with me.
But as far as high school, would she have like her reunion, class reunion? Would it be from a large class?
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
would be
she
a lot
went to
larger?
Poly High School at
Oh,
that
yeah.
time, and it was, it was a big class. It was
Yeah.
probably, I don't know, maybe 1,000 or something like that. Maybe more than that, I don't know. But they still had a nice little group,
Oh, yeah.
and they still talk on Facebook and stuff. But she'll never go to it. But I'm gonna make her go this next time. She's gonna go because she'll love it when she does. And yeah, she was like valedictorian of the whole 4 school system, or her and another person tied for it. And
Wow.
she didn't want to give the speech, so she kind of backed out of it and gave it to someone else. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, she was smart. She was very sharp. And
Well, she married you.
huh?
She married you.
Yeah, yeah, that may have been her biggest mistake. But no, we've done okay. We got 2 kids, and son and daughter, and 4 grandsons, and they're all just smart. I don't know where they got their brains, but I mean, they're all just make straight A's, and just good kids, and I just hope they keep it up and stay with the right crowd and keep on. That's my hope. And other than that, my life's pretty boring. Pretty boring. I pretty much just, I'm kind of like Dexter. I'm out riding my bike, or I'm swimming, or I'm running, or I'm thinking about doing it the next day.
Do you ride a lot? I know you said you ride. Yeah, I see you got your Ironman.
Yeah, I've done 9 half Ironmans and 4 fulls. Started 4 fulls. 2 of them I finished and did really well. 2 of them, my back messed me up, and I couldn't make the run. I had to quit. One at 24 miles and one at 17 miles. But that happens. I get depressed, but even the very best, sometimes you never know. You're at the mercy of your own body, and if it decides to break down, it just breaks down. But that don't mean you quit. I mean, you just keep on going. But it's kind of like you get addicted.
Yeah.
To that feeling, the
Adrenaline
endorphins that
bump.
release and stuff, and the runner's high and stuff like that. And it's just an old man trying to be young for a while, And the older I get, the less competition we get, So it started out, there would be, and when I started doing this stuff around when I was 61, there would be like 60 in our age group at an Ironman,
Oh.
and then 65 now there's only 20. At most of them. Now, if I keep it going to 70, there's usually only 3 or 4. And if you win your age group, then you get to go to Kona or to Hawaii to the big world championship thing. And so that's my goal, is to someday make it over there. I don't know if I'll do it or not, but I'll
You're on track to.
I'm gonna try to. But anyway, that's my story.
Well, good. Well, it's like a family reunion here, isn't it?
It is. Oh, it's great. It's great. It's great. I'm enjoying the heck out of seeing everybody.
I'm Janice Salmon Sutherland, and after high school I went over to Midland, Texas, a long way away, and I went to beauty school and I got my hair license, went to work, and met my husband, and we got married in 1971, and we lived in Midland, and I did hair until I got pregnant with my daughter, and I was a stay-at-home mom after that. And then in 1973 we moved over to Odessa, and we went into a family pump unit business with my sister and her husband and my mother and dad, and we were in that for 20 years. And when my daughter turned 21, I decided to go back to work, so I took a refresher course at Odessa College, and I went and did hair again for over 20 years and retired in January of this year, and now I'm learning to be retired. So.
Y'all live here in Crane?
We live in Odessa.
Still live in Odessa? Okay, you said that. Okay.
Yeah.
And where do your kids all live?
My daughter is living not in the house next to me, but next door to that, because they are renovating their house, and they're gutting it, so they've been living by me. and my 3 grandkids. I had one daughter, and she had 2 kids and adopted one from China.
Oh, wow.
So that's been a real highlight of my life, is my daughter and the grandkids.
It's good being able to live close to your family.
It's wonderful.
Well, cool. All right.
Yeah, she's been a great daughter, so. And I've got a great son-in-law. He's wonderful to us, and we're just blessed to pieces.
Yeah.
Okay, Melissa Clement Scott. When I left high school, I went to beauty school in Odessa. I married Bobby Scott, who was from Crane. We moved to Denver. He was in the Air Force, and we moved to Denver. He stayed in the Air Force for 9 years. We were stationed at Eglin Air Force Base in Florida the whole time. We had one daughter. Her name is Jancy. She is the little, really joy of my life. She's been a wonderful daughter. Her dad died when she was 15, but she became a nurse at Baylor and has since gone on to get her master's in nursing. Still works at Baylor. She's probably, absolutely, she's what keeps me going.
Yes.
I have a huge family. I lived in Midland, Texas after I left Florida. Became a lender at a bank and did mortgage loans and stayed in banking for 30 years and retired. I've been retired for about 5 years. I keep books currently for a company and travel some with my daughter. I'm very, very fortunate, and I feel blessed to have grown up in Crane, Texas, because we had the beginnings of a life that will never, ever, nobody can take away from us. And I think we were all there for each other, and it's special. When you talk to people that didn't have that, you realize how special it is. And I'm so thrilled that we all got to get together, and I hate the ones that couldn't come, because it has been really uplifting for me. I've just had a ball already. And I hope we all keep in touch. But I live in Texarkana. I have 3 cats because I rescue. And people now are calling me the cat lady. My brother told me that if I got another cat, because I was thinking about rescuing another one, and he said, you might not ever have any company again. So I decided I better not. My brother just lives 15 minutes from me, that brother. Another brother lives in Reno. I have 14 nieces and nephews, and many, many great nieces and nephews, and 2 great nieces. So I have a lot of family members, and I spend a lot of time with them. That's why I'm where I'm at.
Cool. Perfect.
Is that enough?
That is perfect. That's perfect.
That's it. That's everything.
That was a good interview.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Renee Ellen Carlson, and after I graduated high school, I went to Odessa Junior College. Then I went to Tarleton and got my teaching certificate, and I taught school for 4 years and hated every single solitary minute of that, but that's what I did. And I worked as a teacher and got married and ended up having a wonderful son, and decided at that point I would go back to nursing school. Went back to nursing school, got my nursing license. I've loved every minute of that. Went into OBGYN. Got married to another man, and he had 2 children, adopted his 2 kids, so we had 3 kids, and continued my nursing career as a OBGYN nurse, and lived in Burleson, Texas for 38 years. And the last few years I have traveled, and I retired as a nurse about 10 years ago. And anybody that's a nurse, once you're a nurse, you're always a nurse. It doesn't matter where you move or what you do, everybody's always calling you and doing everything. And I have 3 grandchildren that are the love of my life. Just got back from Kansas with my granddaughter. We went to see The Wizard of Oz and do all the Wizard of Oz stuff. And other than that, everything's pretty uneventful. So I'm done.
Talk about the places you've been. You've been so many neat places.
Well, I have traveled a lot. I've been to Peru. I've been to Machu Picchu. Oh gosh, I've been a lot of places. My passion in life is travel. I love the airports, I love security, I love the
That's
flights.
me.
Kind of weird.
I love every part of travel that you can possibly do, and I've traveled by myself to Dubai and Oman and Africa, and anyway, I love to travel. If anybody says, let's go, I'm ready.
What hospital did you work?
I worked at Harris Hospital in Fort Worth, I worked in labor and delivery, and then I worked for OBGYN doctors after that for several years, and delivered hundreds of babies.
Were you working at Harris in the early 80s? Like 81?
80, I started work at Harris in 85.
Oh, okay. So you missed the delivery of my son then.
Oh.
I thought you might have been in there. Okay. All right,
That would have
okay.
been cool.
Yeah,
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like it. Anyway, and now I live at Robeson Ranch, which is it's for people 55 and over, and it's a real active community, and I really, really like that. One reason.
I'm Dex Took, and when I graduated, I went to Angelo State University, and I stayed there for 2.5 years, and I was invited not to come back after that, and I didn't. I got married to Johnny Lou Smith. She was the milkman's daughter there in Crane. We got married the week after her graduation in Crane. We went to Garland, Texas. I had purchased a drive-in grocery store in Garland, and we owned that drive-in grocery store, and we worked that drive-in grocery store for 5 years, and Johnny and I both worked our tails off. And during that 5 years, we had 2 armed robberies and 3 burglaries, and I decided, the next time I decided to be somewhere, I was going to choose where I wanted to be first and decide what I was going to do second. And I sold the store. I moved to Del Rio, and we moved to Del Rio, Texas, and neither one of us had jobs, we didn't have any money. Everything we sold the store for, we used to pay off the loans and everything. And but we moved to Del Rio, we found some jobs and started working. Long story short, I ended up, I was a scuba diver, I was a dive master, and part of being a dive master, you had to have your EMS certification. I mean, I'm sure you had to have a CPR, you had to have first aid, you had to have all these certifications, and Del Rio didn't offer those. And so they had an EMS EMT course going on at the hospital, and that covered all that stuff. So I joined the EMTs to get my dive master as my purpose. And when I went to EMT school, I loved it. And I continued after that. Immediately after EMT there, I went to do my paramedic intern at Scott and White Hospital in Temple, Texas. I got my paramedic. I came back and I worked 14 years as a paramedic there in Del Rio. Our EMS was hospital-based, meaning that we weren't fire department based and we weren't private. We actually worked we were employees of the hospital. So when we weren't working in the box on 911, we had to be working the emergency room. So we worked 12-hour shifts, 7 to 7. I was a night person. I worked 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. We never changed shifts. I was the supervisor, and I really enjoyed emergency medicine. I enjoyed everything about it. I was a ACLS instructor and a BTLS instructor and ATLS instructor, and I was on the neonatal resuscitation teams, and I really enjoyed it. But eventually the bureaucracy and the administration and all the paperwork and everything got to me, and I resigned my paramedic in 2000, and then I went to work for a private manufacturing company. But in between that time, when I was 28 years old, I was in a bar every night smoking 2 packs of cigarettes, and I thought, well, I need to stay in shape, so I went out to a track to run a mile around this track, and I got out there and I couldn't make one time around that track without being out of breath, and I knew it was time for a change. And so I started running the straightaways and walking the curves, and running the straightaways and walking the curves, and I did that until I could run a whole lap, and then I did that until I could run 4 laps. And then my coach at that time, Bill Dayton, told me, he said, Dex, you need to run for 30 minutes. And I said, 30 minutes? I said, you're crazy. Nobody can run for 30 minutes. That's a whole TV show. He said, you need to run for 30 minutes. And so I went out there and I ran for 30 minutes. And once I ran for 30 minutes, I put those cigarettes down, and I never picked them back up. And I began doing 5Ks and 10Ks. I ran marathons. I've run the Boston Marathon. I've gotten into ultra running. I've run 100-mile track races on football tracks. And I started bicycling and doing triathlons. And then in 2006, I'd never ridden over 100 miles in my life on my bicycle. And in 2006, I was searching on the internet, and I found this thing called the Texas Time Trials, where these guys went on this 20-mile loop, and they rode their bicycles for 24 hours, seeing how many miles they could cover in 24 hours. And I thought, man, I'll try that. I only had 10 days till the event, so I couldn't train for it. But I went up there and parked my car on the side of the road, opened my tailgate, not knowing anything about hydration, knowing nothing about nutrition, and I started doing that 24-hour bike race, and I did it. And I was out there in the middle of the night, and I had my tailgate down, I had a flashlight in my mouth, making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in between laps and stuff, and I'd eat them and I'd go. And I actually rode 320 miles during that 24 hours. And I was hooked on the mega mileage ultra distance at that time, and that was in 2006. I came back to that same race a year later in 2007. And the 500-mile portion of that race, if you do 500 miles, you qualify for a race called Race Across America. And I'd never heard of Race Across America before. But I thought it'd be cool if I could race for 500 miles. So I raced for 500 miles, and I actually qualified for Race Across America. And I thought, well, that's cool. When I had done my 24-hour track race around football, they sent me an invitation from the Western States 100, which was supposed to be the toughest trail race around, and it's supposed to be a privilege to be invited to do this trail race. So now I had qualified for the Western States 100, and I had qualified for round, and I thought, well, that's cool. I bet too many people have done that. But I didn't really think about racing round. And then that was until 2009, and in 2009, I got to seriously, I was driving to San Angelo one day, Johnny was with me, and I said, Johnny, what do you think about doing Race Across America? And she said, what? And I said, I'm thinking about doing Race Across America. And she nearly died. And at that, she started planning on it, and Johnny is a logistical miracle worker, is what she is. And she started working on it, getting everything together, and in 2010, I did Race Across America. And Race Across America starts in Oceanside, California. It's a non-stop 3,000-mile bicycle race across America. It ends in Annapolis, Maryland. And in 2010, there were 36 solo racers, and out of that 36 solo racers, 10 racers actually finished the race. We had terrible weather in Colorado. We had 60-mile-an-hour winds, and it put everyone down. And I was the last person left on the road. There were no other racers out there. Everybody else had already DNF'd. They did not finish. And I was the last person out on the road. I was 180 miles from the finish line. And I was 12 days into the race. And at that time, we did it mathematically. It was going to be mathematically impossible for me to make it before the cutoff. And so 180 miles from the finish line, I called in and I DNF'd, and I was the last person in round. But the next year I came back, and guess what? I got to be the last person in round again. Because in 2011 I came back and I did it. I did the race. I finished it. I was the last one, but I did it. So I have the dubious honor of being the last person in round 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
But
you did it.
But Ram is...
How old were you?
I was 61 years old.
There you
go. I was the sixth
That's
person
amazing.
in history to complete Ram over the age of 60. Wow. And since then, I have gone back to Ram 6 more times. I've been across America 8 times in Ram, twice as a racer and 6 times as a crew member. I now crew other racers. I've crewed 2 second-place finishes, 3 second-place finishes, and 1 third-place finish. I enjoy it. Being a crew member, everybody told me, he says, yeah, you've raced Ram, but now you're going to crew it, and now you're going to find out what it's really like, because that's the hard part is crewing. And they are right, crewing is definitely hard, but there ain't nothing like crewing ain't nothing like racing, believe me. When you're sitting there in that car and you've got that air conditioner blowing in you and you're eating a Snickers bar and you're talking to the guy on the radio and that guy out there on that bicycle is in 115 degrees and he is pedaling and he's going into that wind and he's seeing every chip seal on that road and every piece of rock on that road, it's not the same. It's just not the same. But I do respect the crew. I love crewing, and I'll look forward to doing it every year like that. Saying all that, I would like to say that my core values that got me through RAM and got me through running a quarter of a mile around a track and got me through the 100-mile runs all came from my values growing up in Crane. It came from Crane High School. It came from my teachers and my environment around me. I mean, you learn to do things and do things the right way. You're taught respect. You're taught how to do things. And all of that teaching is what got me through RAM and gets me through life every day. And I totally respect that. And people say I'm an inspiration, but you don't realize there's some magic deep down inside there, and whether you start out walking or whether you start out biking or whatever you do, there's magic deep in your soul. And very few people have the passion or the determination or the dedication to discover that magic. But once you discover that magic, it's cool. It'll take you to a place you will meet yourself, and it's cool. It's really cool.
Ah, what a neat story.
And that's right now. I've also I own the Texas State cross state record. I rode from the Oklahoma-Texas border near. My brain's gone.
Dumas up there, or
Is way up in the Texas, the very top of the Texas.
Dalhart.
Parrington up in there.
Yeah.
I rode from there to Brownsville, Mexico in 64 hours.
Great.
And I set the Texas state record. And I was recently, before I had an accident, I was looking at trying to set the Texas state record going from west to east, so I would have both records, north and south and east to west. And maybe I'll pursue that later, but right now that's kind of been put on hold.
That is so cool.
But that's about it. Questions?
That is cool. How many bicycles do you have?
One.
And how often do you buy a bicycle?
Actually, bicycles, the frames themselves last forever. What wears out are the components.
You have to replace,
Yeah.
so you just replace all
And
that.
and when I bought my bicycle, you buy your components, and then by the time that your components wear out, you can't buy them again anyway because they've upgraded. And so you've got to buy an upgrade, and you just keep upgrading that way.
Kind of like a computer.
Yeah.
It is like a computer, yeah. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Now, do you still live in Del Rio?
I still live in Del Rio. Johnny is retired. She worked for the school district for 100 years, and then she retired, and now she's working for a private school, teaches art 1 day a week, loves it. She spends 8 days a week preparing for that 1 day a week, and loves it. And she does a great job. And the kids love her. The kids just love her as a teacher.
Oh, do y'all have any children?
No, we don't. No kids. We've only been married 45 years, and we haven't been married long enough to have kids.
Hey, wait till you grow up.
That's Joey's
He's gonna set another record.
You're going to set another record. We'll tell Johnny about that. See what she thinks.
Really watching that birth announcement.
I want to deliver it, okay?
So when that birth announcement comes out, is he changing his name to Abraham?
That's exactly right. That's what I was thinking.
Well, is it your cousin, your uncle, that lives around the corner from us?
Yes, Earl Dean Took.
We were my dad was still living. He was at a birthday party for one of my grandkids, and he had his Tabernacle Baptist Church Crane shirt cap on, kind of like what Randy's got. We were sitting there at this table, and this little girl named goodness gracious, what's her dog? Cassie was my little grandson's first girlfriend, and she'd have him. He hated to go to preschool, so in the mornings, and I'd have to take his Arapahoe Road Christian School there. So Cassie would have his little colors laid out here for him. She'd have his little book laid out and all this stuff for him, and she'd encourage him to come in and sit by her. That's the only way we could get her in there.
It's a small world. My nephew lives 2 houses down from Bobby Tillman.
Yeah.
We didn't know. I didn't know.
They didn't even know who.
Well, I knew their first name, but I didn't know their last name. So we were sitting at this McDonald's one day for a birthday party thing, and Cassie's mom said, "I see your shirt. You ever heard of Crane?" I said, "I see you got your cap there." I said, "Yeah, we kind of know a little bit about Crane." And she said, "Well, my I guess it's her uncle lived there." I said, "Well, what's your name?" Took. And I said, "Well, what's your last name?" "My name's Took." We'd known them for probably 2 years at that time. Had no clue. And they lived literally around the corner from us. And
It is a small.
Wonderful. You should have told about your books.
Yeah, that's kept going.
I said,
Your book.
here, let's add that on. What we'll do
We need to do that. That we all need to know about.
After the 2011 Race Across America, prior to the 2011 Race Across America, I had 4 abdominal hernias that were visible, and my doctor examined me, and he thought that I could complete the Race Across America without having surgical intervention. And so I did the Race Across America, and afterwards I went back to him, and we decided to have the surgery and have the abdominal hernias removed. And he went in there to remove them. He found 5 more, and actually had 9 abdominal hernias. And he removed them, and he put them in this mesh. And he said, "Now Dex, I don't want you doing anything. I mean anything. The whole key for your recovery for this is rest. And I don't want you doing anything for 8 weeks." And so I went home, and Johnny promptly disassembled my bicycle because she knew I couldn't put it back together, to keep me off of it. And I didn't have anything to do for 8 weeks. And Bobby, it had been years since I hadn't been on a bicycle. I mean, years since I had not gone a day and not riding my bike. And for me to go 8 weeks, it was total withdrawals. And so one of my crew members, and I have to say something about my Ram crew right now, my Ram crew were tremendous. These guys sacrificed their time, their efforts, everything about their lives they sacrificed to get me across America, not for their benefit, but for my benefit. They sacrificed themselves to get me across America, and these people were amazing. But anyway, one of my Ram crew members was encouraging me to write a book. He had seen I enjoyed writing, and I've done some writing before, and he encouraged me to write a book. And I really didn't want to, but with his encouragement, knowing I didn't have anything to do for 8 weeks, I started writing the book. And as a source, I started writing the book. It's entitled Unfinished Business. And unfinished business means that in 2010, I came so close, and I didn't make it. And then in 2011, I came back to finish it. And unfinished business was the theme of my Ram in 2011. Put a lot of pressure on me, actually, because my RV had unfinished business written across it. My party at the bank and trust was all about unfinished business. My sponsors was all about unfinished. I had a job to do. I had to finish that Ram this time. But anyway, for the basis of my book, I had my route book, which you get in Ram, and everything was documented in that route book. Every stop, every nutrition, every calorie in, every calorie out, everything was documented in my Ram route book. And so I had everything there, and then I went back and I interviewed every one of my crew members and did an interview with each of them. I talked with each of them. I had my route book, and I had my own memory of what went on. and I wrote the book Unfinished Business. And Unfinished Business is a chronological report of my realm. It's mile by mile, it's time station by time station. And you can buy it at any online bookstore, Amazon, or Barnes & Noble, or anywhere. It's available anywhere. And I think you'll find it, even if you're not a cyclist. It's not about cycling, really. It's a story. It's a story of determination, and it's a story of Crane and my background there and my upbringing. And I think it's a good story that anyone would enjoy.
Rexanne Herrick.
Rex.
Well, after high school, I went to college and graduated, and the first year out of school, I went to Japan as a short-term missionary. And while I was there, I met a young man in the service who later became my husband. And we came back to the States and got married, and then went back to Tokyo to teach for 2 years in a Christian school there. And then we came back to the States, and Dennis went to graduate school. I worked while he did that, and did his master's and doctorate at North Texas. Then we moved to northern Indiana, and that's where we had our family. We have a son and a daughter, and they live in, Jennifer lives in Atlanta, and Jeffrey lives in northern Indiana. And in '88, we moved to Montgomery, Alabama. We've lived there for almost 30 years. I've been a teacher. I just ended my 30-year teaching career. So I'm a newly retired teacher. My husband says I smile all the time. So I think I'm going to really enjoy retirement. That's it.
That's it? That wasn't too painful.
No, not too bad.
That wasn't too painful. So what is your husband? Does your husband retire also?
He's also retired. He's a college professor. He's a trumpet player. Our whole family are musicians, and we did a lot of music.
Do you still play?
I do. So worked in children's choirs. I taught music for 20 years. I also taught technology. So it's been a fun ride.
Are your folks still living, or
They are not. They passed away several years ago. So goodness.
Well, something was attacking us.
I know, really. So,
Like a mosquito. Okay. Well, anything else you can think of?
no, that's it.
Hi, my name is Gary McQuarrie. You may not recognize me with white hair. I haven't always had this. But anyway, when I left high school in 1969, I moved to Dallas. Worked for the Dallas Police Department for about 4 years as a radio dispatcher. I then moved back, worked for Dr. Pepper a couple of years, and now moved back to West Texas. And, met my wife Marcia in Duncanville. And so we moved back here to raise our kids, and we had 2 kids that grew up in Crane schools all 12 years. I was a volunteer fireman for 26 years in Crane. The fire marshal, I was in charge of fire investigations. I now work for Arco Oil and Gas Company, who was bought out by BP. Then when BP had the little accident out in the Gulf of Mexico, they sold our West Texas properties, and I was employed by Spirit Global Energy Solutions at that time. What I do now is I get up about 4:30 in the morning, and I check about 600 oil wells for about eight different companies, and I just they call me an optimization specialist. What am I missing?
Where are your kids now? I know
Andrew is in Plano, and Stephanie is she's in Midland. Stephanie has one daughter. She's 14 years old now, and she's pretty well controlled my life since she was born.
Marcia, you're still working, right?
Yeah.
So is Marcia retired?
Yeah, no, she's still working too. She works for Herd Partners in downtown Dallas. Downtown Midland. They are like a little oil and gas revenue company.
And you live in Midland, both of you?
Yes, we do. We both live in Midland together still. 40 years this year.
Yeah. Clearly, I remember the years at the Dallas Police Department. I was there part of those.
Right.
Anything else you can think of?
Probably after I get up and leave, but right now, no.
My name is Delphia Carter Ballard. After graduation, I went to Odessa Junior College and for vocational nursing, and then I graduated from there and I've had my license since 1971. I have worked in numerous fields of medicine. In 1971, I also married my sweet husband, Red Ballard. We have 2 daughters, 3 grandsons, and 4 great-grandchildren. I worked at a junior high, Pine Tree Junior High in Longview for 20 years. I had the 8th and 9th graders, and then I left there and went to Head Start and was in the administrative part of it for 13 years. After retiring, I went back to work with a friend of mine and we do CPR, first aid, AED, and then we also do child care trainings for child workers in the state of Texas that are required to have so many hours each year. That's about it.
Are you still working now?
Yes, I'm still working.
Where do you live? You said
We live in Gilmer, Texas, which is outside of Longview. We're about...
Oh, that's cool, yeah. I was talking about that one. We have some property.
Oh, okay. Got that for you.
Yeah. All right.
Anything else?
Oh, and where your kids live now?
My oldest daughter lives outside of Tyler, Texas, and my youngest daughter lives in Longview.
Are you still in nursing?
Yes, I am. I'm still a nurse since forever.
Once a nurse, always a nurse.
That's right.
Think of anything else? Okay, well, thank you.
Oh, except that you were going to make me skinny.
When I graduated in '69, I went in the Army, spent 3 years there, went to Germany for 6 months, spent a year in Nam, come back, went to Fort Carson, Colorado, met my wife when I was in Germany. We got married when I got back from overseas. I got 2 kids, a boy and a girl. They live in Santa Ana, where we do. After that, worked in the factories, a little bit of everything. Ended up retiring, and when I was 62 from driving a truck, been in the fire department about 20-something years. I guess that's about it. Went to college junior college for a while when I got out of the service. Spent 2 years in there at Kilgore College. Junior college then, now it's a college. I guess that's it.
You were in Vietnam for a year?
Yeah, I spent a year in Vietnam.
What year were you?
70, 71, I was a heavy equipment operator.
You were there kind of toward the end of the...
Yeah.
So you was in the Army, what, 3 years?
Yeah.
3 years, approximately.
Approximately 3 years. I got a 6-month drop because they didn't get me out of Vietnam. You can only stay 365 days, and as we was leaving Long Bend, they had a little rocket come in, several of them, so they delayed us, and delaying us got me a 6-month drop.
Well, that worked out pretty good.
Yep. Yeah.
What, and you were with the fire department, did you say? You were with the
Volunteer fire department.
Where was that?
Santa Ana.
Oh, okay.
Fire and rescue. I'm a first responder now. Still doing it. Retired at 62, and I'm retired.
Well, that's good. Anything else you think of?
No, sir, that's about it.
All right. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm Cecile Hogan Elkins. Everybody calls me C. And I graduated in 1969. And I got married a week later. And I have 2 daughters. Tracy, who is 48, I think. I always have to think about it. And my younger daughter is Shelby. She's 44. And I also have a daughter from another mother who, her name is Brandy, and she is 48 as well. And Brandy lives in Midland with my 3 grandchildren. Twins, a girl and a boy, and another little boy who is our youngest, and he's 11 already. And my daughter Tracy, my older daughter, lives in Odessa with her husband and her son, who is 15, and my oldest granddaughter, who is Tracy's daughter, is now 21. She turned 21 last month, and she is a senior at Texas State University. And I also have 2 grandsons who live in Raton, New Mexico, with my daughter Shelby, who is a teacher. My husband's Richard Elkins, and he is a retired firefighter. We met when I was a dispatcher at the fire department. Before the fire department, I worked at the police department. I was a dispatcher for Odessa Police Department for about 5 years. And then I dispatched for the fire department for 13 and a half. And then I became a nurse. I retired from the fire department in 1995 and finished nursing school and graduated at the age of 45 and went directly to work in the ICU and worked there 11 years, and then I worked in the cath lab for 7 years. And then I retired. And it's a great gig. Everybody ought to try it.
Did you go to OC?
Yes, I got my nursing degree at Odessa College. Now, the only nursing I do is I've come here from a week at Sacramento Methodist Assembly here in the Sacramento Mountains of New Mexico, and I'm the camp nurse for a group of special needs, adult special needs campers, and we have a 5-day camp for them, and it's the best week of my year every year. I also volunteer with Permian Basin Honor Flight, and it takes a lot of my time, and I love it. It's wonderful. I've been on 3 honor flights. I got involved when my dad went on the first one as a World War II and Korean vet, and so it's a lot of fun. We do it to honor the veterans who've served our country so well, and we all think that it's high time that we honored them.
Was your dad, I did not know your dad was in the service. I kind of thought
Yes.
all of our dads probably were, and none of them
Yeah.
ever talked about it, you know.
Yeah, he
Was he in the
fought
Army?
in his whole class. He was at A&M, and his whole class was called out in 1943. He was a second semester junior, and there was no class of 1945 or 1944 or 1945 because they called the whole class up. And everybody was in the Corps back then. And he went to Germany first and was in Germany and Belgium and France. And then he went, he came back home and married my mother. And then he got on a ship and was on the way to invade the main island of Japan. And he was on a ship out in the Pacific when they dropped the bombs, and the war was over, so they rerouted him to the Philippines to route the Japanese out of the jungles in the Philippines. And then he was called back. He was in the reserve when he came home, and he was called back after I was born to be in Korea.
That's interesting. The folks that were in that time, it was just a special time. And, we were only born a few years after that.
Yeah,
And to me,
baby
I
boomers.
never really thought anything about it. It didn't.
And they don't, any of them. When you talk to them, they're like, we just did what we had to do. And they talk about things like Normandy. We had a guy who was on the Indiana that got sunk by the Japs, and the boat sank, and there were, you know, like 1,200 men that went in the water, and some of them were injured. They died in the water while they were waiting for rescue. They got eaten up by sharks. It was awful. And they're just like, well, you know, that's what happened to me. They're amazing. They're amazing.
I'm Diana Williams Dyer, and after high school I went to Angelo State University and got a music degree. About when I was 20, I took my first piano student, and even though my music degree was in public school teaching, I found that I really loved working one-on-one with piano students. And so I have done that since I was 20, which makes it 46 years of piano students coming in and out of my studio. And I can truly say sometimes it's been a great hobby, and it's been a great career. And along the way, some churches asked me to help out with playing piano or playing organ or singing. And so I've been playing an organ or a piano since I was 21 in a church, different churches, and found a fantastic church in '94, in which has enriched me and feeding me the word of the Lord. And it's just made my spiritual walk and my lifetime walk where I can walk through the valleys, or I can be on the mountaintops, and I can still say, bless the Lord. And I have two daughters, Kimberly and Casey, and they are married. And we have one grandson, and he's 7 months old. And as most of the grandparents know, it's a whole new world when you get those. And just joy beyond belief. And then in the meantime, in doing music, I joined a large organization called Texas Music Teachers Association, which has about 500 Texas teachers, and we have about 20,000 students. And through the years, I've helped with that organization. I've had 3 major offices, which has helped me grow to where I'm not quite as shy as maybe I once was. And I know that I can get up in front of people, and those people are very kind as a rule. I recently, a few years ago, I took a great tour of Alaska, but about 2 years later, probably in about 2013, I took a trip with my church to Israel, and I got in a boat and crossed the Sea of Galilee, and as you can tell, it fills up my heart to think that I was in the same place as my Savior when He was here on earth. I have a fantastic husband. He worked for Verizon for many years. He is retired now, and we have a great life. We don't travel a lot. We have health issues sometimes, but we do enjoy our lives together.
Y'all still live in San Angelo?
We live in San Angelo. We have lived there since I was 19. That's where I went, and I've lived in Crane, and I've lived in San Angelo.
Well, that's it. Well, you're not shy anymore. You did a real good job out here with your little halo on.
Yes.
That was something.
I sometimes get carried away.
Oh, that was
with the fun of it.
That was fun. That was good. Oh, there's nothing wrong with having a good time.
Yeah.
I'm Bob Tillman. I appreciate the opportunity to be part of this class, and it's a real blessing to be a member of a group of people that are more like family than anything else. Not having any brothers or sisters, the class that I went through 12 grades with, almost everyone, it's like a family. Coming to these reunions, it's just like going to a family reunion for me, getting to see the folks that I consider my friends, and to this day I would consider doing anything for them that I could. Missing a bunch of our close friends that have gone on from us, but so glad to be associated with the group that's here. After high school, I had an opportunity to go to school in Dallas. I moved to Dallas in 1969, fall of 1969, started school at the Ryan Institute of Technology, had a full scholarship there. Preferred to finish a degree in electrical engineering, so I moved to the University of Texas at Darlington. Went there for a few years, and during that time started a company called Gospel Music Company. We worked with churches and Christian organizations doing communications work, and traveled all over the country, even into Canada, doing some things in that area. Well, let me back up a little bit. In 1967, I believe it was, a young lady moved to our wonderful, thriving metropolis of Crane, Texas, from Hobbs. Her name was Betty Ballum. We met at a gospel singing in my home, actually, a bunch of folks there. We kind of decided that we enjoyed each other's company a little bit, so we dated for 5 years. I moved to Dallas to accommodate the school I mentioned earlier. Betty stayed in Crane with her folks, and she went to OC, Willis College Nursing School, graduated there. I had gone to Dallas, started school, and I was also working at the Dallas Police Department. I resigned from there effective the 20th of August. Betty graduated from Odessa College on the 21st of August. On the 22nd of August, we got married, and she moved to Dallas, where I'd been staying for a while, had a house, a place for us to stay. On the 24th of August, her mom and dad, her dad retired from the Gulf after 43 years, a little over 43 years, moved to Springfield, Missouri, and enrolled in Bible college. Betty and I lived in Odessa. We lived in Garland. We lived in Dallas when we first got married. In 1971, we had twin girls, Cheryl and Krista. We moved to Garland in, I believe, 1972. Lived there for a number of years. In 1980, I believe it was 1988, we moved to Saxe, and we lived there ever since. Saxe, Texas, which is just northeast of Dallas County. As I mentioned, had the Gospel Music Company. We operated until about '84. Merged it in with another company, Crescendo Sound, and when I started a company called Electroacoustics. We built broadcast equipment, broadcast supply, products for radio and TV stations and various communications devices. And operated that until about 1995, and had an opportunity to go to work with my wife in a medical business in Corsicana, a home health and hospice agency called Quality Home Care. And we moved to Corsicana, kept a place in Saxe. We moved there temporarily for a while, and they covered about 9 counties south of the Dallas area, and I handled their durable medical equipment, their stuff, getting it all fixed and working properly and delivering it and taking to people. Got to meet some very interesting folks. The government cut funding on those projects to the point where that business basically went out of business. We didn't own the business, we were working for a friend that owned it. So we moved back to Dallas. Betty went back to work and stayed in the medical field, and I started a company called Special Webs Company, which did web development and computer work. And I'm still in that business. That's what I do now. Part of why I'm doing these interviews and things. About 2002, my twin daughters had finished college at UNT and they have degrees in early childhood development. They had an interest in a daycare center, so we acquired some property and started a school called Stepping Stones Learning Center in Saxe. Name changed a few years ago to stepping stone Saxy. My daughter's still home in school, although I don't, I'm on the payroll. I enjoy going in there in the morning about 6 o'clock and meeting the little kids. It's a blessing beyond measure to get to see those little boogers. They come in and they want to say hi to Papa, that's what they call me. They want to ring the little bell on the desk, some of them, that's their routine. They want to say hi, they want to bring me little things. And of all the things in my life I've ever done, besides dealing with people in a Christian environment, this is the biggest blessing I think I've ever been, to be around these little kids and to kind of be a somewhat stable environment in some of their lives. Been doing that for 14 years, and I think there's some goodness about having the same old guy sitting there every day. When the parents come in, they know they're going to pretty much know they're going to see. I'm not there going to be there tomorrow. I mean Monday, so I don't know what they're going to do. Anyway, seriously, I stay there a little bit in the morning, then I go back to my office at 8 o'clock, approximately 8 o'clock, and do my computer work, web work, and what have you. But it's been a real blessing to be part of the Crane environment. I think having grown up in Crane is one of the biggest blessings ever bestowed upon me and the folks that lived there for a number of years. Maybe it's not the same now, maybe it's even better, I don't know. But when we grew up there in the 50s and 60s, we had just incredible camaraderie with our families, friends, schoolmates. The teachers were wonderful. They were dedicated teachers, most of them. They taught us practical things. They taught us things that were actually useful. They weren't so indoctrinated with the politically correct terminology that they were basically unable to function as teachers. Discipline was good. I mentioned this to some of our other classmates. I never saw a policeman on campus except when they would come to do a safety talk or tell us something about that. Today, the schools have resource officers at every campus just about, which is sad that that's even thought about being necessary, let alone being necessary. We took care of situations like that. Discipline was not an issue on our school campuses. Gun violence did not exist. It was not unusual at all to see pickups in the parking lots with gun racks. Some of them had guns on them, rifles, and not a single time in the 12 years in school did anybody threaten to kill somebody, to shoot somebody, or harass anybody with a gun. If they had, I think the whole community would have come down on it. There would have been no need for police intervention. We had, in Crane, we had, I believe during the years we were there, it was one of the largest oil producing counties in Crane County was the largest, third largest oil producing county in Texas. Crane was the only city there, so we had basically the best of everything. So that, in fact, most of that I didn't realize how beneficial that was or how blessed we were until in high school when we started going to other schools to compete, UIL contests. It was an eye-opener to see what advantages Crane actually did have. One of the other interesting things about college education was we competed in slide rule contest when I was in high school, and I got to compete in UIL. When I started at UTA as an electrical engineering program, you had to know how to use a slide rule. If you didn't, you had to take classes in it because you had to use a slide rule in your engineering classes. That was in 1971. When I left in 1975 for running that area, you could not even purchase a slide rule because the calculators had taken over. Something that had been used for hundreds and hundreds of years, the slide rule, was no longer even available. So it was interesting to see how technology had advanced. But it was it's been a blessing to be a part of the Crane school system, to be part of the alumni. It's been a real blessing to be at these reunions and to get to visit with folks. I'm hoping that we can make contact with some of the folks that haven't been able to come or weren't interested in coming. Maybe they would change their mind and be a part. It's a very pleasant situation. Folks that we may not have even talked to much in school, we can sit down and have a good time and talk to them, hug their neck, and enjoy their company. So it's been a real blessing. And my wife retired the 1st of August, like 5 days ago. this is August the 5th today, isn't it? 4 days ago she retired. I'm not real sure I'll ever be able to retire. For one reason, need the money. Second reason, I enjoy working. So anyway, thank you very much for listening to this.